YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, back on Total War Rome 2 with some more online multiplayer. Now, just so you all know, and I'll go ahead and show you this real quick, I have been trying to host some online battles. Right now it shows them all red because I have mods turned on while I'm recording. Obviously you can't play online battles with the mods, but I have been trying to host battles. I haven't really been getting anybody to join them. I'm trying to host ambush battles, siege battles, just stuff to vary it up a little bit. So if you ever hop online, I'm just going to go ahead and name my game HeirofCarthage. So if you hop online, look in the playlist, see if you see me on there, jump in the game, feel free. Now, timing-wise, so I usually play a lot on Sunday. Oh, it's probably going to be either Sunday morning my time or Sunday evening my time. Remember, I'm GMT -6 in my time zone. I'm in US Central Time. So that's a good time to catch me is on Sundays. I'll probably go host and play a lot of online battles. Otherwise, in the weekdays, I usually hop in quick battle just to get something quick. So I know some of you are asking for something with a little more variety. I'm trying, though I do get some interesting variety out of quick battle as well, though it's not necessarily always my favorite way to play. Not that it's bad or anything, just sometimes I like hosting more scenario-type battles. Anyway, welcome to the Battle of Seleucia. So it seems like I'm doomed to play on these twin hill maps. And my opponent kept like switching his faction in the faction screen. I have no idea why, but it was like he went through like probably 10 different factions and hadn't readied up, and I was just like, okay, well, one way or the other I'm gonna play as Parthia. So I go ahead and select an army and ready up, and then at the very like last 10 seconds he switched over to Epirus and pulled out this army. So I guess maybe he was hoping to get me to pick a very traditional type Parthian army, which I did not. I brought a sword corps. I think I have 7 Parthian swordsmen, and I think 3 mercenary, or just 3 hillmen. I think 2 Median Cav, and I have 3 Cataphract units, 2 Eastern and 1 Royal, and then mercenary Sarmatian archers. And my opponent has brought 2 pikemen. Right now we can see 3 mercenary Rhodian slingers, which obviously he's brought to counter horse archers and foot skirmishers. They would be good at either, since Parthia could not really match these guys with anything. And the pikemen, see how he's doing this here? This is impassable terrain. So basically this is unpassable. So he's just going to pike box and then just, or not pike box, he's just going to pike up front, and then he'll just use units stationed on these very nice slopes, and he'll just defend basically a horde of skirmishers and not have to move. And he's done this specifically to counter Parthia, because most people who bring Parthia are going to bring a crapload of cav and a crapload of horse archers. And if they do, this type of army might become dangerous. But to be honest, even if I brought a cav spam, I'm pretty sure that I would probably be able to have some different ways to deal with this. But anyway, this is definitely a hard counter to Parthia with what he's trying to do. He's got some mercenary Italian swordsmen and Thurio spears. Not sure why you'd even bother with the swordsmen. Should have just brought more Thurio spears against Parthia. That's what I would have thought if I was trying to build a counter build. But in the case that now I've brought all these Parthian swordsmen, may not be a bad idea that he's brought some swordsmen of his own. But anyway, his whole army's in view now. He's got a Hellenic Royal Cav, and this is not normally a dangerous unit to Cataphracts, but being able to come down this hill at full speed, it's going to be dangerous. So it's definitely going to be bad. And then he's just got a couple of mercenary Italian Cav to help tie stuff down. In any case, and then he's got 2 Molossian dogs as well. Again, this was to counter horse archers, and I do have horse archers, but I'm not going to give him an opportunity to use these dogs the way he wants. And these guys are 650 each, I think, so that's going to be 1,300 talents down the drain if I can successfully keep him away from my horse archers with it. Now, that is not to say the dogs may not get kills on whatever unit they go after. I have no idea, like, the mechanics of dogs right now. I really haven't tested them. But anyway, you can see I'm just going to go ahead and start out by bringing cavalry into his flanks. Going to force him to go ahead and just box up. In the end, if I can get enough... So these 6 skirmishers can absolutely destroy my swordsmen. Unit by unit, probably maybe 15 seconds each, if that, and my front line will just get cut to ribbons. Otherwise, my initial move would be to try and just move up, let my swordsmen throw their javelins to destroy these pikemen, and then move in. But if I do that, his guys will utterly and completely destroy my men, and there's nothing I can do to screen for them at the moment. My horse archers will get just absolutely pizzoned if I move into that type of scenario. So my initial plan is this. I'm just going to have to make some sacrifices. So I'm going to bring my Levy Freeman, or my mercenary Hillman, sorry. going to bring my Hillman up to these flanks just to draw some fire and see if I can get him to waste a couple of his units and possibly open a gap. Then I'll try and bring a Median Cav through any gaps that I can find and start to tie down his skirmishers. Once his skirmishers are tied down, my main line will move up and destroy his pikemen, and then I'll just be looking for opportunities for my cataphracts. And to be honest, I should have left my general back here and put the eastern cataphract out here, but oh well. A royal cataphract on your flank is definitely something that you'll keep an eye on. So in that case, it'll be successful. There you can see my opponent's hill box ready to counter Parthia, and we'll just see how he does. Because I mean, it's pretty obvious how this scenario is going to have to play out. There's no reason in the world for him to move. Just would be utter pointless for him to move. So he's not going to. Yeah, a lot of people still try and use dogs to counter horse archers. My main problem with this, as dogs as a counter to horse archers, is that they cost a lot more than horse archers. So I don't really see them being an effective counter to horse archers, because let's say you release the dogs and you get rid of them, it depends on what kind of horse archer they attack and whether or not they kill it. If they attack and kill an armored horse archer, it would be like a fair trade. If they attack and kill a mercenary Scythian horse archer, then you actually did worse there than the person who brought the horse archer. Unless somehow that ends up hampering their ability. Now look at this, I'm going to move my mercenary hillman through the woods, and even through the woods, these guys are getting absolutely destroyed. Of course, they don't have the best shield for blocking missiles either. But this is why I was saying I couldn't move up my Parthian swordsman just straight on, because his skirmishers will utterly annihilate me. And again, just drawing missile fire out, trying to get my guys on the flanks, just be a nuisance, try and create gaps. That's all I'm trying to do here. Look, he releases his dogs into my hillman. This is a mistake. They'll probably kill my hillman, but after that, the dogs just run around doing whatever they want, and it probably won't end up working out for him. Now, initially, I mean, those dogs do kill a lot of my hillmen, but he's also shooting a lot of arrows in here, and he's killing a lot of his dogs with his arrows and other stuff. So, I mean, a lot of friendly fire going on here that didn't really work to his favor. So, here's going to be my first Median Cav, and on an uphill charge, there's really no way for me to break through here successfully, and my guys don't even get a good charge, they just stop. So I'm going to have to just do my best to pull through here, which I would normally not be a big fan of pulling through unless you knock the guys over, but I mean, my opponent has a box here. I'm going to have to try and pull through. There's really nothing else I can do. So I don't particularly feel too bad about this. When you're camped on a hill in a box, I'll pull through. Even kind of illegitimate pull-through that was there. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, I'm going to save my cataphracts, so you all can hate me, love me for that, whatever you want. It is what it is. I'm not feeling too bad about it. So here, some of his skirmishers were set to skirmish, and they come outside of the safety of his box. I don't get a very good charge, and his Thurio spears are just wrecking my Median Cav. But the good thing is these Thurio spears are throwing their javelins into the midst of his own men as well. Same thing with these Agrionian axemen, so he'll actually kill a few of his own men for me, and then also waste a lot of javelins on his Thurio spears that can now not be thrown at my Hellenic cataphracts. But so far my opponent has managed to save most of his men. His Molossian dogs both have a decent number of kills, I believe. Anyway, but now enough of his skirmishers have been distracted or pushed back that I can at least attempt this. It's still not going to be good. He's got Rhodian slingers just absolutely unloading on my men, and now Cretan archers. But my guys are going to have enough time to destroy his pikemen. And Parthian swordsmen have a decent shield, so they'll be able to block a decent number of these missiles. There it goes. So the pikemen are going to just get absolutely wrecked by javelin fire, and my opponent sees this, and he's moving more of his men back down to try and fire at my swordsmen. But it's too late. I am going to get a breakthrough, and my opponent's box is going to be opened up. It is going to leave me charging uphill still, but whatever. Yeah, you can see the number of javelins here just really causing a lot of problems. But let's look at my men. He's not concentrating his fire, which is probably not a good choice. And I also wasted most of my Scythian horse archers there too. I used them as kind of bait for some of his fire. You can see them dead here, and it did help save my men from some fire. He's got this unit pretty damaged and a few of the others, but he should have concentrated his fire and tried to destroy some of my units piecemeal, but he did not, and now his slingers have nowhere to run. If they run through the back, my cataphracts are waiting, and I've destroyed his dog handlers who came out at me over here. Again, so you can see my cataphracts looming in the background, and again, now his defenses will be a little weaker. Not completely weak, though. And what my opponent does here in a minute is actually a pretty smart move. I bring in my, my Royal Cataphract General, and I go ahead and click Trample because I had certain unit abilities that would allow me to use Second Wind and I wanted to just kill this Italian cav fast. Now my opponent starts firing from these Cretan archers, again, good move. And my Royal Cataphracts are now going to get exhausted if I can't use that general ability, which I did plan to do, but you can see I just destroyed his Italian cav as I planned. But this is where my opponent makes a nice counter here, and it really kind of screws me over. He drops Intimidate before I can use my general ability, and then does a downhill charge, which I can't run away from, so I have to take it, and it just destroys my men. It's bad. Like, he got me really good there. So now my men are exhausted. He got a really nice downhill charge on his Hellenic Royal Cav, and he's also got a lot of missiles coming in. So my general's going to die, and this is going to be risky because my men's morale was not super good. But fortunately for me, Parthian swordsmen are disciplined. And his pikemen here, he still has 1 unit alive, but I'm not really just going to go head on into them. And I'm trying to bust through the flank of his mercenary swordsmen. You can see my own cataphracts kill a lot of his skirmishers here. I get 100 some odd kills on his skirmishers. And then I have another cataphract unit that I'm going to bring into the back. And my cataphracts will die doing this kind of thing because he's going to surround me. But if I can kill enough of his skirmishers, then his little plan here is going to fail. And again, I get a decent rear charge here. He's going to bring in his Thurio spears, but it doesn't matter. Again, nowhere to run for these mercenary Cretan archers, Rhodian slingers. They can't fire. His mercenary Italian cavs in there too. And you can see my cataphracts are going to quickly start racking up kills. I don't know if they were cost effective just by kills in this battle. My general certainly wasn't. Still managed to kill a decent number of his Hellenic cav, or he killed them with his own missiles. That's quite possible as well, but they've done a good job countering my general, and here get a counter charge into my eastern cataphracts. But at this point, my swordsmen have done a lot of damage, and then it's probably too much for my opponent to be able to overcome. But there is still quite a few men left on the field, and you just kind of see from an overhead. My opponent's men are fighting from an uphill position, and he's trying to flee with some of his skirmishers, but this Royal Cataphract, or this Eastern Cataphract's still alive, so I'm going to just give chase to his skirmishers, and then use this swordsman to keep his swordsman away from my cataphracts. And his general dies somewhere in this battle here momentarily, and for him, his general dying is going to be a lot more hurt because all of these skirmishers are not disciplined units, whereas again, my Parthian swordsmen were disciplined, and it's the only thing that saved me here. If I would have brought undisciplined units, when my general died, that would have been it, because I was fighting uphill. But you can see that my swordsman morale was a little shaky right now, but it managed just to hold firm. These guys have pretty decent morale for their price. Really decent morale, actually. And his skirmishers at this point are mostly wrecked. He really doesn't have a whole lot left, just some mercenary archers, but here they're not going to be able to get away from my swordsmen. And they may have been able to run away this way, but I have a lot of swordsmen left, and again, some of his guys are already caught here. And I've still got this cataphract unit down here wrecking this Agrianian axeman and mercenary Rhodian slinger. So I think at this point it's definitely going to be a victory for me. The battle swings into my favor, and the morale on my opponent's troops is going to start dropping with the death of his general. So I was able to break my opponent's defensive box there. And the main reason why this worked wasn't because of some like super skilled moves on my part. It was my opponent picked a really good counter army for a typical Parthian army, but he made the assumption that I was going to bring a typical Parthian army whenever, switching at the last second, or like he kept switching factions around a whole bunch. So I knew he was up to something. And so during that time when he was basically tipping me off like, hey, yeah, look at me, I'm switching factions, you don't know, I'm not really sure what I'm going to do. That gives me the opportunity to know that, hey, he's planning something tricky here. So it allowed me to choose a very unorthodox Parthian army, and his army was not tailored to really defeat that. He would have done better here had I brought more horse archers. And so I made sure to not bring expensive horse archers and to just bring very cheap ones. So again, it leaves me in a position where I'm able to get what I want out of this situation. And my army choice was basically what gave me the win here. His army was not prepared to kill what I had. He might have been able to do so if he could have come off that defensive position and been able to do enough damage to my swordsmen. But coming off the defensive position means that he's even more likely to open himself up to rear charges too. So one way or the other, he was at an extreme risk trying to face this army. Now, I will definitely give him credit. Dropping Intimidate on my general when he did, that was brilliant, and it destroyed my general, and it was a very good move. And it's a good demonstration of how that Intimidate should be used. So that was actually a really interesting move, and he did a good job. Bringing Agrianian Axemen to help cut down enemy cavalry, also a good move. I like this idea. But all these skirmishers, that is a lot of money. 6 of these guys times almost 600 talents each. That's a huge, and then throw the dogs in. That's over 4,000 talents tied up in these units here. And to be honest, I think he would have been better off just not bringing quite as many skirmishers. 3 Rhodian slingers can usually chew up any Parthian skirmishers that they can handle. Anyway, good game to my opponent. Hope you all enjoyed this one. Heir of Carthage, signing off for now.